Hi, my name is Panos. I'm a program manager in the speech group, and I'm here to talk to you about speech at Microsoft. I have a presentation prepared where I will walk you through the new service that we released about a month ago, and I will show you some demos and some code around that. Before I go into details about that, I want to talk a little bit about the achievements we had as a speech group recently. We managed to beat human parity over a year ago on speech transcription. So that means that our in-house system was actually more accurate than humans at the transcription task. And more recently, in March 2018, we were able to also beat human parity in translation. Later that summer, in around August, we also developed a technology that allows us now to develop voice fonts that are indistinguishable from humans. More about that later on. So the new service was released 6 weeks ago. We call it Speech, and it's a consolidation of all the speech products that we actually had in the past in the company. So Speech is a new service. Custom Speech, for those of you that have been using the service before, Custom Speech, Bing Speech, and Speech Translator have all been deprecated. So Speech is the new key that you can get all the functionality out of. So let's have a look what is inside the box. So you will find speech-to-text service, the ability to convert audio to transcription. We offer 30 locales for doing this. We cover most of the European languages, obviously English in various flavors and various locales, and a bunch of Asian languages as well. The models are the same ones. The technology that you actually will be using is the same technology we use internally in our company for powering products like Office, like Windows, Cortana, Xbox, and so on and so forth. We also have text-to-speech. We offer a very large number of locales, voice fonts, out of the box in 49 locales. And we also have speech translation. So this is speech-to-speech translation that takes advantage of the neural machine translation technology and obviously the SR that we offer and the TTS that we offer as part of the same service. There is a thread that runs along all these different sort of sub-services. Everything can be customized. So you can customize your speech recognition models, you can customize your voice fonts, and you can use these for doing translation as well. So along with the service, we have an SDK. So this is also part of the same offering. The SDK is our journey in creating a multi-platform, multi-language support for everything speech related. And in public preview, there's also the DDK for those customers that want to develop speech-enabled devices. So inside the speech-to-text service, you will find we have a new update on the models. We have more accurate models. We call them the unified models that offer increased accuracy. I talked about the number of locales. All of these there's 30 and all of them can be customized. We can now support long-form speech. That was something, this is new now since September the 24th. And we have really separated the real-time transcription service from the batch transcription service because we had a lot of customers asking for ways to transcribe audio that they had in storage, historical audio they had in storage in very large volumes. A point I want to make about speech-to-text, which I think is very important, is that the service is fully compliant. We went through compliance audits and certification. We have certifications for ISO, for SOC, for HIPAA, PCI, and we're obviously GDPR compliant as well. So that means you can process your financial data, payment data, medical data with us through that service. So in terms of scenarios that we support, so there are features for dictation. You can use our service to select between manual punctuation or automatic punctuation, and there are several ways you can deal with profanity. You can use the real timeliness of the service to get live captions. for your scenario, to caption your live events, for example. And you can do this for all the locales that we actually offer. The call center scenario is also very prominent and something we really support in our service. There's obviously the real-time scenario where calls become transcribed in real time, and you can do analytics and sentiment analysis and all that stuff in real time. But there's also support now for batch transcription, as I said earlier, through which, for data that you have in Azure, you can submit requests, you can query the status, and you can download results, your transcription results that we actually offer. And there's a bunch of features related to that. For example, we support very large number of audio formats. We can deal with lengthy audio files, and we can do channel splitting if you have your files stored in stereo. Customer care bot is another scenario that we actually support. This takes advantage of the real-timeness and the low latency of the service. It obviously combines more cognitive services together, like language understanding and the bot framework. But also you can use the custom voice that we offer now to create your own brand voice for your bot. Finally, the automotive is another scenario we support. There are features such as the acoustic adaptation to deal with traffic noise, natural sounding noises, for example, you will find in the car, being able to deal with far field, and so on and so forth. I want to mention KPMG. I mentioned that some time ago. This is public information. KPMG has been using our service now for some time to actually transcribe their call center data. I will play just small audio just to show you the transcriptions you actually get from streaming files onto our service. Let me just forward a little bit.
Hi, can you give me a quote in GBP US dollar, please?
139.25.28.
Can I buy 5 million GBP US dollar, please?
Yep, filled at 139.28.
Thank you very much. Done. Bye.
So on the left, you can see the baseline model transcription. It's okay, but it's not great. And on the right, you can see what the custom model transcription looks like. It's using underneath a language model where the information, like the financial information, like the market names and stock names and all that stuff, had been used to customize the speech recognition model. And this is why the custom model actually can give you a very accurate transcription of what the audio was on the recording. So KPMG has been using our service and will be using our service in production actually very soon with a few of their customers. For those of you that have been using our work, our speech services, we used to be available in 3 regions, now we're available in 8. And that means we offer customization portals in 8 regions that you can actually use. The data stays in that region. The data stays within the region that you actually import them. And along with the service, there is a number of new developments. We have documentation that's brand new. There is data samples. There is code samples on GitHub that you actually go and look. There is Swagger for developers and FAQs and stuff like that. So I'm going to switch over to the portal just to show you very quickly what the experience looks like if you want to develop a custom model. If you don't want to develop a custom model, obviously you can just download the SDK and then you can get access to the baseline models. If you do want to create a custom model, custom voices, then this is where you come to. So I'm logging with my own account. The process through which you develop a custom model is really through these 5 steps. Typically, you upload your adaptation data. I will click on some of these tabs just to show you what it looks like. So these are some data that I uploaded earlier, but you can import really acoustic data, language data, pronunciation data, and so on and so forth. Then using the data, you can develop your acoustic models. I do have some that I developed earlier. I want to show you the screen for developing models because it's actually fairly straightforward, fairly easy. You give it your model as a name, you give your model a description, you select the locale, this is important. Cannot change the locale later. You select this, we call it scenario here, but it's basically the baseline model that you want to customize. And you select the data which you have imported earlier. By clicking create, I'm not going to do that now, it's a process that takes a bit of time. You create an acoustic model. The language model adaptation is exactly the same. I have created a biology model, which I'm going to show you in a minute, but it's basically the same process. You define your locale, you define the baseline model, and you just create a language model for it. You can do accuracy tests. These are evaluation tests. I can show you actually the screen. Again, you just pick up your locale, you pick up your scenario, you pick up any of the models you have created, and you pick up the data that you want to evaluate your model against. You click create, and then you see the results of your model in a table like this that you can then use to evaluate your progress and decide which models to put into production. When you want to go into production and create an endpoint for your model, this is a different form that I want to show you. Again, name and description is a typical one. You select your locale, as you do. You need to decide the concurrency level of your model. So this is basically how many audio streams do you envisage being sent to the endpoint at the same time. We can do a maximum of 20 on the portal. Many customers ask me about this. Technically, we can scale a lot higher. We do ask customers to contact us if they want higher scale type models. But you can get up to 20 from the portal, and you can do most of the POC that I actually know of, right, in most of the scenarios. Once you do this, you can decide on the login. We do not normally log anything. Typically, we do not log anything. You can decide if you want to log. You can log. And for everything that you log, you get an export and a delete button on the endpoint details. So you can go and basically download everything you have uploaded to the model. Now you select the scenario and the details of the endpoint, the acoustic model, the language model, you accept terms and conditions, and you create the endpoint. So I want to show you some of the endpoints I created earlier. So the biology model is here. If we go through the details, you will see details about the acoustic and the language model that these are based on, and the important information is here. So the endpoint ID, subscription ID, and region are the information you use from the SDK that I spoke in the beginning to actually get access, get authentication, then get access to that model. You can do a test on the endpoint as well when you actually deployed it with a WAV file to see if it's actually contactable. If you don't want to do, so this is the process I show you, it's through the UI, through the portal that we offer. If you don't want to do it through the portal, you do have a programmatic experience through that. So this is our Swagger files. This is actually available on the documentation. You can see that. You can go through that and you can actually do most of the operations that I showed on the portal through the REST APIs. All the information that I have on the screen, details about that, are actually available. There's actually a lot more stuff available about the features and about the details of the speech service on the documentation. So I do advise every customer actually that wants to use our stuff to go and study this. There are details about how to build custom models, what data you require, how much data you require, and a general advice around that. A reference to the Swagger files are also here as well. And there is download options for the SDK, as well as a bunch of samples in a number of languages. So let me show you a quick demo before we go any further. So this is a demo that I built. You can actually download this demo from the documentation. This is pretty straightforward. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up a file and transcribe it. So I'm going to pick up this file. I'm going to get a transcription from the custom model. I have to define my region and the locale. This is information you actually get from the portal that I showed you earlier. And then I have to define my keys, basically subscription key and the model ID. This is the information that I showed you on the portal just earlier on. If I press start, you will see that after the file is streamed, or while the file is being streamed, we're getting back intermediate results in this area here. And you also see the final result. If you do have domain-specific audio that you want to transcribe, I mean, this one, as you can see, is biology-related, so it's using a model that I built earlier, then the advice is, the best practice is that you actually adapt a language model for it. So this is a language model I built that knows about dinosaur names from Jurassic era. I can play another file, actually. Let me do another one very quickly. Let me do this one. And then let's get, so I'm going to try to get transcriptions from both baseline, a baseline model, and the custom model that we have, just to see what the difference is. So as you can see, the baseline model is doing okay, but not great. The baseline model, since it was adapted, it knows about the names of the dinosaurs, so it's able to transcribe that, with higher accuracy, right? So this is really, I just wanted to highlight the difference between baseline and custom models. If I can show the code very, very quickly, in principle, to do something like this in the code, you define your configuration on which I'm expressing here my subscription key and the region, the locale, and the endpoint ID of the custom model that I built. And then when I instantiate my speech recognizer, the only real thing I need to do after that is really subscribe my event handlers to the various events for accessing the partial results, the final results, and things like errors, cancellations, and stuff like that. And this principle runs along the rest of the features on the SDK. I don't have time to show you the demo, but I can show you very quickly the code. It's actually pretty straightforward. This is another recognizer for doing translation, but the principle is the same. We define a configuration, subscription key and region, as we said earlier. We define the target language, the source language, and then we define the target languages as well. And actually, the target language can be more than one. When you define your translation recognizer, then again, as before, you go through and you subscribe your event handlers to the various events. And it's simple as that, to actually get translation embedded into your application. So back to my slides. I want to talk to you very quickly about TTS, text-to-speech. So out of the box, you can get 80 plus voices now. If you do want to build your own voice, you require data. Depending on the quality of the voice you want to build, you decide on the amount of data you want to upload. I have a couple of files here that I will play. So you understand so you see the difference between a voice font that has been built with 30 minutes of data as opposed to 8 hours of data. So we'll play these very quickly.
You can create your own branded TTS voice easily with Microsoft custom voice offerings.
And I will play the voice that was trained with 8 hours.
You can create your own branded TTS voice easily with Microsoft custom voice offerings.
So you can see the difference in the quality between the half an hour trained voice as opposed to the 8 hour trained voice. And the more data you add, the more human-like it actually sounds. So as I said in the very beginning, however, we did have a scientific breakthrough in the voice sort of naturalness. Now we can actually create voices that are indistinguishable from humans. This particular feature is not publicly available yet. It's not in GA, but we do have a private preview for it. So if you are interested in creating such voices, you should contact us and we can put you on that program. There is about, we support English, English, US, and we support Chinese at the moment. There is a couple more languages that will be coming up. I want to play some voices so you can hear how they sound and how similar they sound.
A palpable chill passes through the room at this maladroit refusal. A palpable chill passes through the room at this maladroit refusal. In Georgia, Governor Zell Miller has declared a state of emergency in 4 counties. In Georgia, Governor Zell Miller has declared a state of emergency in 4 counties.
Okay, you get the idea. I'll play another one.
Nostalgia could still be evoked after only 20 years, and many remembered when. Nostalgia could still be evoked after only 20 years, and many remembered when.
So as you can see, they're very difficult to distinguish from human voices. So one of them was recorded using a TTS, the other one was recorded by an actual human. So this is a feature, as I said, that is actually in private preview right now. If you want to register, talk to us and we'll get you on that program. I want to make clear that it does require data to create your own voice. So there is a workflow that goes with it. Typically, you define the persona for that voice. You identify the domains that that voice is going to speak about, and you have to provide scripts that are going to be recorded typically in studios. They need to be professional recordings before you import them on our portal and go through the process of creating the voice. We do have guidelines of how to do all of that stuff, and we are happy to work with you in developing your own brand voice for your bot. One company we've been working with in China is called Urubo. They have been developing different types of voices. Actually, they're developing robots for different domains. One of them is a kids companion, but they also have robots for offices, for example. So for the kids companion, we have built a number of voices for them, but I have a demo here from the kids companion voice. I would like you to hear it to see what sort of level of naturalness we actually get.
Whatever is worth doing well. Happiness is a way station between too much and too little. In love, folly is always sweet. The hard part isn't making the decision.
Okay, you get the idea. But these are the type of voices that we'll actually create for specific domains. Just a couple of things on the SDK before I finish off. The SDK has been our journey to unite, to create a unified programming experience for everything speech. It is available, it was GA as part of the speech service, and it's available, as I have on the table, for a number of platforms in a number of languages. So this is actually, we're expanding this and we will be expanding this in the future. Okay, and with that, I'm going to close this session. I want to say, the key takeaways from the session that I want you to take with you is that the speech service is now in GA. Previous services that you may have used, like custom speech and Bing Speech, are deprecated. We have been working on a number of scenarios and making sure that we offer features for those scenarios, like dictation, captioning, customer care bots, call centers, and automotive. I forgot to mention earlier that we do have actually customers in production for customer care bots, such as Vodafone in Italy. I do also want you to remember that given that the speech service is now consolidated under one umbrella, using that single key, you get access to all these different functionality that I mentioned through a single SDK, and we've made it very, very easy to actually customize everything. So either through the portal or through the REST APIs and the Swagger that we offer, you can actually develop your own custom SR and custom voice fonts, and use that even to do speech-to-speech translation. I have a couple of links at the bottom that you can visit. To get your key, go to the Azure portal and create a new resource for speech. For looking to the docs, you're going to get links from there for downloading the SDK and all the demos and all the samples that I actually showed you, including the data for doing the biology demo. Go to the portal, chris.ai. There are regional portals you can actually use. And the final is a link for our Swagger files. So I'm having a question that I can see on my screen that I want to reply. If you want to do language adaptation, if you want to get specific names or places recognized, or even custom vocabulary, or even things like acronyms, do visit the documentation. I do have a detailed guide of what language adaptation entails and what you should actually do to increase your accuracy. But this is really the scenarios we really support, we're really doing well. So I have another question about how do we measure quality. So on the portal, you can actually do accuracy tests for your models. There are some, and gentlemen, somebody's asking me for benchmarking numbers, which we cannot give, but our service, we know ourselves, is quite accurate. As I said in the very beginning of the presentation, we're actually the first group to actually beat human parity when it comes to transcription. If you want to create a custom voice font, I do have another question on my screen. Then you go through the same portal that I showed you earlier. On that portal, there is on that same portal there are details of how to create custom voice fonts as well. The process is exactly the same. The process is exactly the same. You upload your data, you create your models, and you deploy the models, and you get an endpoint for it. So we support about 30 languages. There is a question on the language that we support. We support a large number of languages for the different services. If you go to the documentation on the link that I shared, there is under references the number of locales that we support for each one of the features of speech. Okay, with that I'm going to leave you. Thank you very much for attending.